Hello, everyone, and welcome to CodeWithStu channel. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest, Tim from WeAreDotnet. Hello, Tim. How's it going?
Hey, thank you for having me.
Not a problem. So the reason why we're here today on a kind of a special live stream is Tim and a couple of friends of his are building a brand new .NET community, and I think you guys deserve to know about it. So, Tim, could you tell us a little bit about this community and kind of what it's set out to achieve?
Yeah, totally. I can. So, WeAreDotnet.io is the the idea. Let me start a little bit in past because that helps to understand what we are doing. So, a little bit over a year ago, Matthias, the co-founder of WeAreDotnet.io, actually created a GitHub repository which was called, I think, .NET Creators or .NET Creator Card, something like that. So he pretty much collected JSON files for a ton of .NET content creators and collected data like their YouTube channels, their RSS feeds, stuff like that. But it was just sitting there in GitHub. So you could, and I think he also had an OPML file, which made it easier to consume all the feeds. But that was basically it. And at some point, I found it and I was like, hey, we actually need to be able to, we can do more than that. And I was like, hey, let's turn that into a website. And that's pretty much what we did. So we took all the data he had, and based on that, sort of, we created WeAreDotnet.io, but we didn't import all his data, but reached out to the people, asked them, hey, we are creating that new portal. Do you want to have your content there? And we basically aggregate a ton of RSS feeds, YouTube channels, and make all that available under one platform. So right now we have 170 different people bringing content to the platform. And we want to turn that into like a healthy .NET community, pretty much.
Nice. Not only are we joined by Tim, we are also today joined by Gerald. Hello, Gerald.
Hello, hello. I was just figuring out how you do the cool white little, what is it, bio thingies. I didn't see that before. Hey, sorry.
That's all right. I got you there. I got you there. All good.
Cool.
You can have like little white little banner now too.
Yeah, awesome.
So Gerald, what's your kind of involvement with the WeAreDotnet community so far? Tim's just given us a little brief overview of kind of like the community. How do you fit into the picture so far?
Yeah, Tim and Matthias kind of like forced me to do this. I'm blinking for help. No, I'm just kidding. So for the people who don't know who I am, my name is Gerald. I live in the Netherlands and I work remotely for Microsoft on the .NET MAUI team. And before that, I was a Microsoft MVP, very active in the community. I still am. So, I have a big love for everything that is community and, of course, .NET and Microsoft. So I am in the unique position to kind of like, get the best of both worlds and involve myself in both. And this is, of course, a amazing initiative that I loved immediately. So I jumped on board, and .NET MAUI, for the people who are not aware, is the Microsoft technique, a UI framework to build cross-platform apps for iOS, Android, Windows, Mac OS, Tizen, based on C# and .NET. So we have this amazing website now, WeAreDotnet. And I thought, how cool would it be to, use my own technique, my own framework that I'm working on, build an app so that I know, what people are hitting when they're building apps. And at the same time, hopefully provide an amazing app that also shows the same content as WeAreDotnet, and we have an amazing app together with that as well. So that's kind of how I got involved. It was just a wild idea. It's, testing at the very, very much alpha stage right now. Maybe if we get a little crazy, I can show you a little bit. And then Matthias and Tim said like, hey, we have this Discord server. Maybe you want to help out with some moderation there. So I'm kind of like, enrolled in the team a little bit, doing some things here and there. And that's basically how I got involved.
Nice, very nice. So it sounds like then you guys have got quite a lot going on already. You've got a website, you've got a Discord server, you've got an app. Kind of where is this heading? Because this looks like it's getting a lot of traction very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's really crazy what's going on right now. I mean, literally 2 months ago, nothing existed. Like I think the very first GitHub commit was literally 2 months ago. And a little bit more than a month ago, the page went live, and we had the first few people on there. I think we started with like 20 people when we put the page live, and then we quickly ramped it up to 100 creators, and now we're at 170 with more than 1,200 users, I think, right now. It all pretty much happened in an instant. I was even contacted by the .NET Foundation because they really, really loved what we do. Gerald, I think you've been part of Planet Submarine before.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So Planet Xamarin was kind of like for our. So again, I'm just not gonna assume that anyone has any knowledge of the whole history here. .NET MAUI before was known as Xamarin. Also, same concept, build cross-platform apps based on C# and .NET. Xamarin was a standalone company startup, was acquired by Microsoft, and now we're taking the next step in incorporating this solution into .NET and getting rid of the Xamarin name and branding. But there has been a very active community, and there still is. And we kind of like started our own WeAreDotnet, but very specific to Xamarin, which was called Planet Xamarin with planetxamarin.com. I think it's still live, maybe.
It is.
And that was okay, cool. So that was an aggregator for all kinds of blogs. It started with blogs. Later came some podcasts and YouTube channels. For people who were creating content around Xamarin. And it has been very popular. There was a Twitter account associated to it, which, just spit out all the new blog posts that were published. So I guess with all the API changes, we're not paying 42,000 euros a month to do that. So I guess that stopped working. That was going on there. And yeah, I think you, Tim, were in touch with James Montemagno, who is a well-known name, together with Xamarin and .NET MAUI and .NET now, to talk about how to transition also the Planet Xamarin content to WeAreDotnet, right?
Yeah, not even that. I met James before on a conference, and I pretty much just reached out to him to tell him about WeAreDotnet. Like, hey, did you see that? What do you think about it? Stuff like that. And he pretty much responded saying, "Oh, I really like that. We did something similar with Xamarin only, and let's talk." Pretty much. And the basic idea is that, and we already did a lot of that to sort of carry over the old content from Planet Submarine and incorporate that into WeAreDotnet. And that's something that already happened because the people behind Planet Submarine had the idea for something, I think that it was called Planet.net or something. That just never happened, and we just pretty much did what they had in mind. Because that was just the evolution of things to move from Xamarin only to like the whole .NET ecosystem.
Nice. I must admit, MAUI is definitely on my list of things to learn. One of my close friends is working with it quite now, and he seems really impressed with like generally how it works. So, going to kind of sneakily ask the question: is any of like the WeAreDotnet platform, because there's quite a few bits to it now, is any of that going to be open source so we can kind of sneak a quick peek at different bits and pieces?
Yeah, it definitely will be. My plan always was to have it open source at some point to actually have to take in contributions. I just wanted to get out of beta state sort of and have like a robust base and then make it public and people can actually share contributions because, well, it's all based on Azure. We have right now there's I think 3 different app services, tons of API endpoints, and I want to make sure it's all robust. No one can do any harm with the code being public. I want to make sure it's all running fine, and then I actually make it public. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense, that approach, and I think a lot of things would follow kind of that kind of path. So obviously it's taken off like a rocket ship. I found out from Matthias's feed, and that's kind of how I found you guys in general. But like anything, any kind of rocket ship has its kind of challenges in building and growing. Have you had any challenges kind of so far?
Well, not so far. There's been a couple of minor things, really. I mean, you would think that RSS feeds are sort of similar, and you quickly realize, no, they are not at all. There's huge difference around like date formats, for example. We just had a discussion the other day in the Discord channel because everyone has different date formats in their RSS feeds. Some people have the date published, and some people only set the date updated, and the published date is min value. So there's quite a few ifs and switches to pass all the feeds. Really, that's pretty much the toughest thing we had to solve for now. Obviously, there's one thing with scaling. I have no idea if we continue to scale right now, there might be some issues we have to fix, pretty much.
Nice. Hopefully you'll have a nice big team of content creators that can kind of help you out with some of those challenges. Hopefully.
Yeah, they already do, some of them. Yeah, it's really
nice.
lovely. Yeah.
Nice. That's really good. So you mentioned kind of RSS feeds there. What kind of content and kind of stuff is there? Like, I think it'd be good in a minute to kind of get your walkthrough and kind of what's there already, what you're planning to do, and that kind of stuff.
Let me see if I can share my screen here. Share. What's it doing? I want to have this screen here. So I hope you can see my screen. No, you can.
Yeah, now they can. Yep.
That works nicely. Okay, so basically the content we have comes from, right now, as I said, 170 creators. They all have their own special areas in the .NET ecosystem. There's some people who write blogs or code about generic C# .NET Core stuff, and there's people with posts about entity framework, Azure things. There is rarely some things which are like this one here, microservices, or the domain events, which is not 100% related to .NET, but it's important for .NET developers as well. So we said, okay, let's keep it for now. In general, we split that into sort of the categories we have. We even have some F# stuff. We have some posts about just Visual Studio itself, like how to use Android emulators in Visual Studio, all that. So we pretty much cover the whole .NET ecosystem, and I used to refer to it as .NET and Friends, because like Azure, for example, isn't necessarily .NET, but you need to know how to deploy an app service, how to maybe run an SQL server or whatever. So Azure is definitely related to .NET development. And like VS Code extensions, I think we have a couple of posts about that, are sort of related to .NET as well. So we always say, hey, .NET and Friends in that regard.
Nice. I noticed that you've got, and I think it's under the resources, that you've got an RSS feed. Is that an RSS feed of RSS feed?
Oh yeah. No, technically not. So we have these 3 RSS feeds right now. That's pretty much the same content you have on the landing page. Just that you can say, hey, I want it all, or I only want videos, or I only want blog posts. But it's pretty much the landing page content. Planet Submarine back then actually aggregated RSS feeds. So they were just taking in the RSS feeds and putting it all together. Technically, we are not aggregating things, because we are reading all the RSS feeds, downloading stuff, putting it in an SQL database, like not the content as such, but the title, description, date published, stuff like that. So we actually have data in the database, and we create our own feeds from that, because that gives us a lot more flexibility than compared to actually just aggregating feeds.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this the other day in Discord around one of the problems of how to differentiate some of the higher volume creators and maybe some of the lesser known creators.
Yeah, one thing that for me is really important, and one of the reasons why I started that thing is I was looking for something. I actually can't remember what it was. I think it was some entity framework topic. I don't know. I found that guy, really loved his video, watched it all, and then realized, hey, I actually never seen that guy before. He didn't have many followers. And then you realize, hey, it's actually quite tricky to find people. Like on LinkedIn, yeah, you occasionally see someone, maybe you see someone on Twitter, but it's tough to find like good people in the .NET ecosystem, because there are a couple of people with like huge amount of followers, and you typically find them really fast. Like Nick, what's his name? Nick Chopsas, Nick Chop, whatever. Yeah, there are a couple of people you stumble upon them quite fast. But some of the creators we have, I think it's really tough to find content from them if you're just searching on Google or whatever, because they don't have a ton of followers. They don't have a lot of people on LinkedIn following them. So all the algorithms inside Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever, make it really tough to find stuff from them. And we wanted to have the platform that doesn't have all that, so everyone is treated the same, really. With the only exception that and I think that's what you've been referring to, we are thinking about giving, especially people who don't have a lot of followers, who might only have like 2 or 3 posts, who just started, we're thinking about giving them a little boost, sort of, to appear more often in the feed, to make it easier for them.
Yeah, I'm fully supporting of this. You know, I know the likes of Milan and Nick, and they've done great things in the community, but you know, it's finding those new up and coming creators who have lots of good ideas, have you know, lots of different approaches to stuff, I think really brings some really good diversity into the community as a whole.
Yeah, and
so if I was gone.
Yeah, no, I would just wanted to add, like, some of them, especially some of the younger ones, have really, really great high quality content. It's just hard to find.
I'm glad that's a problem that you guys are going to solve. Really, really happy with that personally. So if you are kind of like a new content creator, or even an existing content creator, like, kind of how do you get started, and like how do you get yourself into this community?
Yeah, that's actually really simple. Well, all you have to do is sign up to the page once. Sign up. We use GitHub as our authentication provider, so you just have to sign in once to the page. And we actually have a GitHub account, and we have our repository here, the .NET Creator Cards repository. And you pretty much just have to send us a pull request with your card. We call them cards. I can show you why we call them cards. And it's a pretty simple format, really. We have channels, we have feeds. In channels, you can give us any website, anything you consider a channel where you post things. Might be your LinkedIn profile. Some people send in their Twitch profile, or your website, or your YouTube channel, whatever. And in feeds, you just give us RSS feeds for your content. Currently, all we have is either YouTube feeds or blog posts. So whatever people use for blogging, but that's what we have right now. And soonish, sort of, we want to add podcasts as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And just from a newbie's perspective, is this all free, or do I have to pay anything for it?
No, everything is completely for free. So you don't have to pay anything. It's completely free, and we want to keep it that way. And
But Tim, you're too modest. There is the sponsoring enabled on the WeAreDotnet GitHub. So, you know, if you can miss something, if you want to sponsor this initiative, there's multiple ways to do it. One way is sponsoring through the GitHub organization right here. So I think that will go to like all the, there is some stuff obviously costing money through the hosting, and some things go in here. Of course, the most valuable thing that you can't replace with money, your free time that you're spending here, the merchandise that Tim is showing off. Oh, and Stu too. Oh my gosh, I'm so underdressed. So there's awesome stuff going on here. So if there's one thing that you want to do, go check out the sponsor page for WeAreDotnet on GitHub, and you can support them that way as well. So
yeah, thank you. That brings me to one important point. Like, when we started all that, I was talking to Matthias, and we said we don't want to turn that into the next job portal, company page, whatever, because there's thousands available. We also don't want to use like Google Ads or something. That's just not us. We don't want that. However, yeah, as you said, Gerald, there are things like this is pretty much you could say a normal software as a service application, like based on all the services we need to do that. We are using like Azure Cognitive Search behind the scenes. We have a couple of app services on Azure, a couple of licenses to pay for other things we use. So there is like bills we have to pay, obviously, which get more and more expensive the more and more the community grows. We are we are having conversations with a couple of people. We said we would never use Google Ads, but we might. Like if there's a company, we didn't talk to them, but just as an example, Syncfusion, they offer .NET controls. They offer a lot for .NET developers. If they say, hey, if you put an ad for us on the page, yeah, we might consider doing that. So if it's an ad that is something for .NET developers, yeah, we would maybe think about that. But that's as far as it ever goes, sort of.
Nice. It sounds like you're approaching it in a way that a lot of people will resonate with. You're not trying to really sell them anything. It's a resource for the community, essentially by the community as well. It's great to know about the sponsorship enabled as well. I assume that's going to be probably point A for a lot of people, alongside the great swag that you got on the store as well. So in terms of like following along with the development of the community, kind of how do I, as what I think it was Scott Hanselman termed as the dark matter developers, the people that are doing the daily grind in the software houses, how do they stay up to date with kind of like what your plans are? So I could pick a random example. You might want to do a virtual conference, hint, hint.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, we pretty much only started. Matthias and me had some funny brainstorming sessions, really, and we said, let's see where it goes. Maybe we have a WeAreDotnet conference at some point, or WeAreDotnet meetup at least. I think that's all things that will happen, because that totally makes sense. I have just no idea when, really. It definitely will happen. We also want to include people a lot more on the things we are working on, because after all, we said that's a community thing, and we definitely want to talk to the community about features and decisions as well. It totally makes sense to join the Discord server, because in there we will do some announcements, maybe run some polls, stuff like that, so people can actually be involved in the way we continue with the platform.
Nice. That's perfect. One other question I wanted to ask, probably more aimed towards Gerald, actually. We mentioned talking about kind of the Maui app that you're kindly building for the community. Is that going to follow the same kind of features and stuff like that the website has, or are you planning to do anything kind of special in there?
Yeah, so that's actually one of the things that I'm struggling with, right? Like before I joined Microsoft to work on Xamarin Forms, now .NET Maui, I was working on these kinds of apps, which is now almost 4 years ago, so it has been a while. And even back then, I would always work with someone else or designers or whatnot. So you would have some kind of input and at least different kind of angles of how to look at something, right? And it was more business apps as well. So it would be a little bit more clear on what the user wanted to do, how to arrange things. So yeah, that's one of the kind of like struggles that I have right now. Like, what you see on the website, the flow there doesn't necessarily make sense if you wrap it inside of a mobile app, right? You could do things a little bit different there, or how you arrange things, or you just have one of the most obvious things is you have much less space, right? I have this big ultra wide screen here. You can fit everything on it, and you can see all these creator cards. I think you owe us an explanation, Tim, why it's called cards, or did you explain it? I don't know.
Oh no, I actually didn't. Yeah. So we called it cards because if you look at the creator list, for example, it's all these in this card format pretty much, and that's why the repository is called .NET Creator Cards, because every user on that platform has a card like that, and not only not only creators, but also the users. So when you're on that, when you sign up, everyone has that card in here. And that's why we say it's cards, really. And I guess that card format probably is not too good for a mobile app.
Yes and no. Right here, you can see like there's a lot of like if we take the first one, Shubham Anand. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly. Like there's a lot of white space, right? Which looks nice on the website, and that makes sense because you can still see like 7 other cards, even like a couple of the bottom ones there. So that makes sense. But if you do this in a mobile app, then yeah, you're going to show one card on a screen, and you're going to be like, okay, that doesn't tell me anything besides his name and that he has a GitHub account. So you know that's like how are you going to effectively show all these things and still have the feeling of the website. So to come back to your original questions, too, right now what I'm doing is crushing everything in there, just having all the API calls, getting all the data in there. Definitely matching whatever we see on the website. And I think, together with Tim, we have some numbers on like, hey, what is the pages that are showing the most? So that's obviously the things that we want to focus on. And I think, just getting the basics up and running, just getting the app into the hands of people is the first goal. And then from there, we're going to see, well, I say because I'm part of the team. But one of the things that I want to see, and together with the community, the app is already open source. You can see the source there, and help me out if that's what you want. I want to try and figure out, what makes sense and how we can leverage the unique capabilities of devices to make this app even better. So one of the things, obviously, is like right now, whenever you click on a link on a card for a content, you'll just go inside of the browser, inside of the app, and it will show the web page. How cool would it be if you tap on a video and it will open the YouTube app, or maybe show the video just inside of the app? You can do picture-in-picture, scroll while you're watching that video. Like that's cool things that you can do with these apps, of course. But the first focus is to just get all the things, the important things from the website inside of the app, and make it kind of like a, instead of doom scrolling over Twitter or Blue Sky, you can now scroll over useful content that will actually teach you something.
Yeah. I think the only other important part is that every user has a nice, let's call it, profile on the page. So no matter if you're a creator or a user, you have like a link tree, you can call it that. It gives you some nice GitHub stats. Well, that's experimental, that's what we call it. So this page will get overhauled. It's just that's what we have right now. So every person you look at, take Lou for example, you can see her feed, for example, in this case. She has some GitHub stats, and I think some people, he maybe no. Because some people have some GitHub projects as well. I actually can't remember. No, maybe myself. I don't have feeds on there, but I have projects on there. So some people have that project hub where they list their some of the GitHub projects they're working on. So it pretty much gives you a nice profile page which works as your link tree because it has all your social links. But on top of that, it gives people some more information about you, like some GitHub stats, some projects you're working on, maybe a feed if you have one. So it's actually more than just the content. So it's really like a small community page.
Nice. And for those that are watching, I'll have all the links down in the description for all the stuff that's being shown today, like the GitHub repositories and stuff. So you don't need to dig around the internet and find it. It'll be done kind of 10, 15 minutes after the stream or so. So how long has this taken to build? Because you've got quite a lot already, and you said you started quite a short amount of time ago. Yet you're hosting on Azure, you're getting a Maui app built, you've got a swag store already open. That's quite a lot of work for not a lot of time.
No, well, I don't know. Well, technically, it's not that much work, really. I mean, if you work with .NET Core and Entity Framework and all that stuff for years, it's a matter of hours to get like the backend done for that. I think most of the work is actually spent in the front end, and that's a Vue.js app. I had a Vue template which I used for a couple of other websites, so that made it easy to have like the basic layout done. Really, I have lots of smaller controls in Vue which make it really easy to put things together. Like the whole tab page top thing here. I have all that pre-made. I just have to like change the CSS styles a bit. Then it's a lot sitting in Photoshop, getting like some nice graphics done and stuff like that. I think overall, until we had the very first version online, I think I've been working on it for like 2 weeks, and in the evenings only, because I obviously have my full-time job as well. It's not too much work really for now. I mean, I'm working on it literally every day, and there's more and more features coming soon. And getting all these smaller features done now, getting things fine-tuned, getting things working properly. At the beginning, like synchronizing the feeds was our manual work. We triggered that. Like I was running that in debug in my Visual Studio Code, like filling in things in the database. That's all automated now. So at the beginning, there was a lot less than what is there right now. But there's also a ton of things happening behind the scenes, which you don't see.
Wow. That's really good to have that much done. It's good that you got all these templates and stuff as well. So talking about kind of a little bit more around the future, you kind of reminded me of something that I saw on Discord a little while ago. You've got a community event running or something in I think it's 2 weeks' time off the top of my head. Is that right? Can you share like a few details about that?
There is. So we want to do that really first. We call that, I think I call it community call, ask me anything, whatever. And so we want to do that. That's the very first one. And then we probably want to do that, I don't know, every month or every 2 months or something like that, where anyone can come, ask questions. It's going to be live on Discord. We will have some special guests, like I will do this one with James Montemagno, I can say that, because he approved that already, but there might be other guests. I don't know if I can name them right now, so I don't do that. You'd be happy to see them, so it's some nice people if they're going to make it. And we want to do that sort of, we want to be involved with the community. We want to say, hey, we're here, we're open, you can talk to us. Because, yeah, obviously we are building that, or I'm building a lot of that. Matthias is doing a lot of things, but we are not doing that for us. Like we said, we don't want to earn any money with that. If we ever get to a point where we have more money than we need, we put things in, no idea, to sponsor other open source projects or whatever. We don't do that for us. We do that for the community, and we want to have the community involved as much as possible.
That sounds really good. Really great to hear that kind of thing, because some people do it for the money. Some people do it for a lot of other reasons, but if everything that I've heard from you before the call and now on the call as well, like, it really just sounds top class. I have to give a shout out to Matthias as well. Obviously, he can be with us here today. Otherwise, he would be. Like he said, he's going to watch the live stream later on. So, hey. The other thing I kind of noticed, I think you posted it the other day, is you've got quite a lot of views that are hitting the website daily. I think you said it was like 1,500. I can't remember if it's page views or users visiting the site, consuming the content that people are creating every single day.
Well, it's heavily, in fairness, it's heavily fluctuating. So we had, I think the peak we had was 1.8K unique visitors. The other day we only had like 700. It's shifting, but it's quite a few people. Yes, I think the RSS feed alone is used around 800 times per day or something.
Wow, that's cool. And are there people coming from like just America or just the UK, or is it all over the world? I saw a brief glimpse on the site there that there were a lot of flags that you're not necessarily familiar with.
Interesting you ask. Occasionally, I had a tweet a couple of days ago. So I was running a couple of queries in the database because I wanted to know myself. I only saw, hey, tons of countries. Let's see. Right now we have, as I said, 1,200 users from 129 countries. So technically, if you take all the countries the world have, we already cover 70% of the world.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
That impressed myself as well. But I guess that's .NET really, because .NET is like used all across the world. So it's only natural that people who are interested in .NET content come from all across the world. It's not a regional thing, really.
Well, okay. So I sneakily behind the scenes just asked Gerald if you wouldn't mind showing us a bit of the app so far. So let's have a look.
Ta-da! There it is.
And
yeah.
let's take a look at Maui for the well. For this is my first Maui app that I'm looking at. So
See, well, maybe you've already been using it and you don't know, right? Because it's still native apps. Anyhow, so yeah, here it is running on the iOS simulator. And if we kind of like maybe it's nice to pull up like how does this work? Let's see if I can create a new browser window here. WeAreDotnet.io. I think I should be able to somehow put this side by side. There we go. All right. See, so well here it's just responsive. See, this is one-on-one. I could just take this. So no, but you can see it pulls up like the first page that you have is like the same content that you see here on the landing page, right? Because it's about the community, it's about the content primarily. So there's that. That again, anything might change here. This is just mostly getting all the API calls to work, actually pulling in data and showing that off. But this makes sense to me, right? Just leading with the content right here. And all the things have like links between them. So my machine is a little bit slow. I noticed that. So if there's any weird things here, it's because of that probably. And if you click on them, like I said, this is a blog. So this will just take you, for iOS, you have this concept of like an in-app browser kind of thing. So it doesn't really take you to the Safari browser. You still can by clicking on the button here on the lower right. But primarily it will start in the app and you can just, read a little bit here what this is about. And then you can go back with like the done button and you didn't really leave the app and you have to switch all the things over here. You can just do this. And if you would go to a video like this, very simply just goes to whatever URL is behind this, right? So now it will take you to YouTube. And kind of like the annoying thing is I should see if this also happens on like my actual device, because now what you could see happening is like it asked me for like the cookie consent and that kind of stuff, the privacy stuff all the time. So if that's something that happens with like the in-app browser, because it doesn't really share the cookies with like the rest of the system, I expect that the actual device, if you're using that like daily, that it shouldn't do that. But that would be very annoying.
Exactly the same happens on Android. Like it's a unique browser session. I think it's using Chromium internally, but it's a unique browser session, and you're not signed into anything. You don't have cookies. Nothing.
So yeah, that would be very annoying. So how cool would it be like if you click on a video, it takes you to the YouTube app where you have all your settings, all your things? That would be then much cooler. I think, or maybe have a setting, right? I love settings. I love options. Make a setting in the app that the user can set their preference, whatever they want to happen, right? So we have this. This is, the primary thing. Then we have a second tab here, which is called Community. So this is kind of like the same thing as you would go to, I think, the creators thing here. Where did I go with this? This doesn't do anything.
No, you have to. All.
Yeah. But where's this? Oh, is that on the main page, but a little bit down then? Is that it?
No, actually, we had that on the page.
You removed it?
I removed it. Yeah, I moved the counter to the menu. So now the count is there in the menu. The new members list is there, and I just didn't want to waste the space for.
So for the people not aware, these counters were like somewhere on the website here, so that's why I kind of like took them. And you could see the numbers, right? This was really cool. Like if you're building the app, if you were going to the website, you would see each time that the numbers would go up. So we have like users or members, which is just, you can just join with GitHub, like Tim just explained. And we have then the people who really went through the GitHub repository and added themselves as a creator. And we're now past 170 as well. So that's really cool, right? So I kind of like took that idea from the website as well. You could see like the new creators. You would have this kind of like more compact cards. You could scroll between them like, hey, what are the new ones? So you could scroll through that, the new users, the new members that just joined, so you can go through them. And you can click on one of them, right? Lou, I know Lou. She's my good friend. Hello, Lou, if you're watching. You could click that, and you would get like the profile, right? So you could see everything that someone has filled in. So if I would go to like the creators, you would see kind of like the same thing. This is also still work in progress. There's a lot of stuff to cover here. But you could see you have that same profile picture. I added the flag in here. You could see the Microsoft MVP. So you could add if you're a Microsoft MVP or part of the Women in .NET or a veteran from the Planet Xamarin. We have our own special badge as well. So there's a couple of these badges, GitHub stars, and you can see all of that. You can see that same information here on the mobile app as well. And then, of course, all the links to the socials that you can see here on the website.
That again is by the way the same with the links. I mean, I guess it would be cool if clicking on Twitter would open the Twitter app, clicking on GitHub would open the GitHub app, and so on.
Yeah. So right now, again, goes to the in-app browser, takes you to the right profiles. Everything is a link, and it will just do that. But yes, again, that would be very cool if you would go to the right app for this, because especially like on LinkedIn, you're not going to see anything, right? So this doesn't even work. That's very annoying. So, this is going on. She doesn't really have a bio, does she? This is a tagline. Oh, you can see that here. So that's the same thing here.
That's her tagline.
And I think there should be people with like a little bit more bio text that would show as well. And you can see the tags that someone has here. They're not clickable right now, but I think if you click on something here, like C# or .NET,
that only worked in the creator search right now. So if you
okay,
that works. If you go there,
gotcha.
all creators that you can filter.
Gotcha. So that's cool things, right? Because the other thing that I'm working on right now, it's now kind of hidden under the counters right here. If you click on like the creators, you will get the full list of creators. And you can start scrolling. I implemented the infinite scrolling as well. So the more you go down, the more it will load, and you can load to all 170 that are in here right now. You can see the little flags right here. And whenever you click one, Kim Philpott's good friend of mine as well, you will go back and again land on his profile and inspect all of those things, right? So also like another thing that's not really working, that's working on a website but not on mobile, is like these things, right? If I hover over the MVP badge, you can see this little tooltip. Not going to happen on mobile, right? How are you going to hover the thing? So one idea that I had, like, this is not going to mean something to everyone, right? So how am I going to make clear? And I'm pointing to this Planet Xamarin badge here. So if I look at, like, if I'm going to search for Kim Philpotts, you could see a little bit clearer. Kim, you can see, like, if you hover over it, it's going to show you like, hey, this is a Planet Xamarin veteran, which is super cool. So how are we going to solve this, right? So maybe one thing is that if you tap on it, you could see a little dialogue with like, hey, this is what it means. Maybe you have a link to a little bit more information. So that's all kind of like challenges that I have to deal with, together with how do you do the layout, right? Like he has only 2 socials, but I can imagine like with coming in with Blue Sky and Mastodon and all the socials that are coming from everywhere right now, like we're going to have a load of icons here. So this is already, you can't see it, but this already has like a scroll view attached. So whenever there gets too much, you can like scroll to the side and you can reach them all. So that's all things that you have to take into account, and which is fun challenges. And then, Tim is going so fast, so I didn't even get to all the GitHub stats and all the other links and feeds. And
the one thing I realized the way you attach the flags to the avatar looks actually pretty good. And I realized when you're on the profile page, we don't have the country, so we actually need to have a way to do that as well.
Yep. See, and that's what's really cool, right? Like also now that I'm discovering like, oh, this thing moved from the website and that thing's going there. It's very much up and coming, up and running. But we need a little bit of coordination, and of course things are in this startup phase, things are going very fast and things need to settle down a little bit. But we're just having fun doing this, at least I am. And I'm learning a lot about my own product, about this cool community stuff. So this is kind of like where I'm at right now. On the GitHub repo for the whole WeAreDotnet stuff. So I guess imagine that's github.com/WeAreDotnet.
Yep.
Like I said, there is the app is already open source. So, if you want to familiarize yourself a little bit with .NET MAUI, go to the mobile app one. There you can see what I've been doing so far. And if you feel comfortable, if you feel adventurous, come help me out.
It's been a while since I've seen GitHub in light mode.
I love light mode.
I'm not sure how you do that, to be honest. Doesn't it like hurt the eyes at like 2 a.m.?
Just don't code at 2 a.m. I have 2 young kids. That's not going to happen, man. I'm changing diapers at 2 a.m.
Okay.
Fair enough. So is this app kind of like available for people to start using? Like, is it on the app stores and stuff right now, or is it just kind of a sideload experience?
Yeah. So, Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was about to say it's probably not even a sideload experience yet. I mean, you totally can if you know your ways around that. You can probably check out the source code and just put it on your phone if you want to. But the experience probably isn't there yet. I mean, that's the whole state of the app. It's working. It's fine. You can use it. But as you noticed, like we technically still consider it a beta because we're constantly adding new features. The GitHub section, for example, is there. Doesn't look that great. There needs to be some changes. We also have a ton more features in our head. So basically, one thing we want to do, which is what I'm working on behind the scenes right now, we want to allow people to create their own RSS feeds pretty much. So you can say, hey, I want to create an RSS feed. I want these 5 creators in there because that's what I read every day. Then you can do that. So you can create your own custom RSS feeds from selected creators on the page. That's one thing we're working on, for example. And there's bits and pieces we change every day to make them look nicer, work better. So it's pretty much an ongoing thing right now.
Nice. Now that would actually be a really great feature to implement. I think that's one that I will definitely use. Don't get me wrong, like there's going to be loads of content that I'm going to come back to the main page for. But I might find one of the newer creators, for example, and want to read their stuff or watch their stuff as it comes out. So that will be, from my personal point of view, a really, really great thing to go and implement. So I kind of got a bit more of a trickier question for you. What's your favorite part of this so far for each of you? Like, is it kind of like the reaction or building out a certain part of it?
Well, for me, it's definitely building it because I used to be work as a developer and also as a developer leader for 25 years. Since technically I work in marketing now. I'm a developer evangelist for DeepL. I work in marketing. I belong to the marketing department. So in my daily job, I don't do that much coding anymore. And that's what I wanted for my daily job. I wanted to do different things with my knowledge pretty much than code every time. But seeing that I'm still able to get something up and running that fast is like nice. And I love to challenge myself with these things. Like I never, for example, I never used cognitive search before. I just did it, used it, implemented it. It's working nice. Probably not the way someone would implement it who uses it daily. It doesn't matter. It's a challenge really, and that I like that.
Nice. And how about for you, Gerald?
Yeah, so from the technical perspective, I guess it's kind of similar. Like the main thing for me, again, from the technical standpoint, is it's been 4 years since I built a proper app, right? And in that time, we transitioned from Xamarin Forms to .NET MAUI, which is a whole different beast. So what I would really want for myself is to have an app to actually, build it from the other side and see what our users are hitting, what are the things that you run into, instead of, looking at it from the framework side and coming up with all these cool things, instead of actually using it and then being like, oh, okay, from the framework perspective, this makes sense, but from a user perspective, not so much, right? So that's very insightful for me. But you know how it goes, right? You're going to come up with some kind of funky idea for an app, the to-do list, the 100 million to-do list, and you're not going to stick with it, right? Because it's not a real app. It's not going to be used. It's not going to be anything. So this is a perfect thing, right? It has an API. People are hopefully wanting this. It's a great use case to actually start building something. So this was the perfect opportunity for me to start dog fooding, as we call it, our own technology and start looking into that. So from that, like Tim said, like I'm definitely doing the most of my time coding during my day job, but this is a whole different thing, right? This is really helpful for all kinds of things. So that's one. But for the entire project altogether, what I really like is like you have this big fragmentation, right? Like on Twitter, sure, there is this big community, but at some point you're gonna find Nick Chapsis, you're gonna find all the people that I just had in the app. I still have it here. So I have Kim Philpotts, I have Jesse Liberty, I have Leo Mars Reyes, I have all these people. I follow them. They do great stuff, but you're never really going to find something new, right? You're always going to have these same set of people, probably also inside of your own niche, like Tim is doing his Azure stuff, his entity framework stuff. I don't even know what you're doing. And I'm doing all my .NET MAUI stuff. So I'm just going to find these people. And with this, you're going a little bit broader, but it's still like it's .NET and friends, like Tim put it. I really like that. So you're going to still find new people, those new creators who want to grow. Milan, who just, well, he's doing great, right? He overtook me on YouTube. But you know, so you're going to find these people who are just, you know, going to start off their journey. They're going to do amazing, and I love Milan. I love what he's doing, and he's doing great, right? That's why his numbers are perfect. And you're going to find a person like that, and you're going to be like, hey, I didn't know this. He's doing interesting stuff. This is really great. So that's what I really love. Like you're bringing together this whole community of .NET people from all places all around the world with all their own specialization in their own little things within the .NET ecosystem, but still brought together in this amazing platform. I'm not even going to call it a website. I'm going to call it a platform, right? So that's what I really like where this is going. Especially, I didn't know about the do your own RSS feed feature. So I'm just going to make this a big thing now. This is going to be a killer feature, Tim. If we can, we can 100%. Create that.
We definitely will. Like it's work in progress right now. Working on it.
Cool.
Nice. I mean, the one thing maybe to finish that question, the one thing that impressed myself sort of is I actually learned quite a few bits about, especially in that case about entity framework I didn't know before because I never looked it up, I never used it, and just while working on the page, I've seen a video that the title sounded interesting. I click on it, I watch it, I learned something. Just pretty much while working on the product, and I was like, okay, that was actually really a good idea because it helped me already, and that felt great. So,
and it seems like Stu, I'll let you wrap this up from here, but that's people. That's why we see like the big numbers, right? People are waiting for these. People want this. I think Tim, you were immediately like James Montemagno. He's like the community manager. I don't even know exactly what he does nowadays, but he's very involved with the community as well. He always has been, and he immediately jumped on this, and I saw it shared internally as well. So you know, it also got the attention of Microsoft, which is really great. So there is really a kind of like need or ask for this, and a lot of people are looking out for this and being enthusiastic about this. So that's why you see the high numbers, I guess, and why this is something that could become a really cool thing. So looking forward to a bright future. Absolutely.
I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head of like the whole future of the platform, and also can't underestimate the timing of this, especially with what happened with I'm going to call it a semi-collapse of Twitter. That was the default place where you would go and find stuff. You'd look up your hashtags. That's where I found a lot of creators like Milan, for example, who looks like he appeared out of nowhere on that platform. But then it all kind of took a bit of a sour twist, and some people started migrating over to Mastodon, and then it all just kind of become really fragmented. So I think the timing of this initiative is absolutely amazing, and it's something that the community definitely needs.
Thank you. I mean, the interesting part is I even learned a few things about Twitter and LinkedIn while working on that. You know that we had that creator group in LinkedIn where we had a couple of creators in a private group. So even in a private group on LinkedIn, there's some algorithms because not everyone in the private group was actually seeing my post, except you really went into the group and looked for new stuff in the group, but you wouldn't see it in your feed. So even for private groups, I thought that was
like just a normal time ordered list.
No, and yeah, even Twitter. When you look at the last post we did, like there are tweets we did on Twitter which have like 20K impressions, and then the next tweet, which is similar hashtags, whatever, only gets to like 2K, and no one can really explain why. And I was
Wow.
like, okay,
That's definitely an algorithm at work there.
Yeah.
I don't envy you for the algorithmic challenge that's coming up to show newer creators and stuff to prevent that kind of problem in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, unless there's anything you guys want to add or say or even plug for yourselves, I'm totally all good for that. It's very much appreciated you to spending your time coming on and having a chat with me this evening. Very precious time out of your day, and really appreciate that, and I'm sure the community appreciates that as and when they see this. Thanks also to the viewers that have kind of come in and listened to us have a little chat for a little while. It's very much appreciated. So yeah, any final words from you guys?
Nope, I'm just grateful to be a little part of this. Tim, thank you for inviting me on, a little bit on the team, although I forced myself on it by just building an app and throwing it at you. What I really like, what we just talked about, the timing and stuff for like Twitter, that kind of stuff. This is also something that Microsoft can never create, right? We can put all the things out there. We can be like, oh, we welcome the community. We love our community. And we really do, right? We mean every word of that. But things like these need to come from the community, right? They know what is needed, what people want. This is not something that you can create as a company, or at least it's very hard to do. So
it's always like like we all know, without blaming anyone or whatever, the history in .NET was from Microsoft wasn't that great. Like the last couple of years were ultra great. It's all cool, but the history wasn't. And I think when people see a community, when this was would have been built by Microsoft, people wouldn't like it just because it's done by Microsoft.
Yep,
that's 100%. How it works, unfortunately. So no, just grateful for this becoming a reality and hopefully growing into something beautiful that everyone can benefit from, learn from, and that's something that I really look forward to.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think all that's left to say then from my perspective is make sure you go and sign up to the website, get yourself on the Discord, get involved with the discussions and stuff. The team, as you've just seen for the past hour, I can't believe it's already been an hour. I was genuinely worried before this that I would run out of things to like say and talk about for the hour. But you guys are amazing and the work you're doing is amazing. So show them some support. Go and get yourself on the website, on the Discord, involve yourself in the conversation. And once again, thank you so much, gentlemen, for all your hard work, and Matthias behind the scenes as well. You're definitely not forgotten. So yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, I'll leave it there, and I'll catch you guys on this channel, hopefully, in the next week or two. Watch out for more news. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks so much for having us.